But Ray, because you finished the game. Actually, wait. Before you do that, I want to mention there was only one time I actually like. I agree about the story mode in video games, especially these car games, because it's Star Wars. Yeah, it's fine. Well,
Yeah,
let
also
people enjoy.
just quickly to finish my thought, it's also nice like if you take that big break and you just want to, let's say, push the game to the end without getting infinitely frustrated over relearning everything from zero, then that's a perfect thing, really.
Yeah, it's actually perfect for these kind of games. I fully agree with you both.
While we're on that point, though, but I will say this: you can at any point in time when you go to a meditation point, you can fire up the training modules real quick in order to kind of like quote unquote relearn all that, and all those training modules are set to what difficulty you have. So to their credit, they did put something in to kind of help with that.
Yeah, it is nice, but also let's be real,
It's not
overwhelming
the same.
majority of people will not be bothered to
Yeah, that too.
it.
They'll throw themselves into combat and get frustrated and go, "Fuck! Why can't I do this right?" And yeah, because I had to do it a couple of times. There were like I took like a 2 or 3 because I first played it and it took like a 2 or 3 day break in order to play Redfall, which was a big mistake. And then came back and was like, "Well, fuck, I can't do anything right." And then like I took like a couple of runs through all the training modules and everything. Was like I was right back where I was before I took the break. So I mean, it's there if you utilize it. It can help with that. But yeah, I get what you're saying. There's a lot of people who are just not going to do that shit.
Yeah, and it's tough to blame them for that. Like,
I just want my Star Wars now.
yeah, like many people don't really have time to put up God knows how much time commitment to relearn that. In the first place, people who take longer breaks are quite often going to be the people who are, let's put it, busy with life. So
Yeah, so I fully agree about this difficulty, like story mode and everything for these kind of games. I remember I had a conversation with someone regarding because I think was it Ghost of Tsushima or Sekiro, whatever that game was, one of those samurai games, what the wannabe Dark Souls games, and people were arguing why there's no story mode and everything, and I'm like, and people's like, why can't Dark Souls have a story mode? I'm like, this is why we like, and like Dark Souls should not, because the whole idea of Dark Souls is supposed to be really hard and just there to fuck your shit up. Well, it makes sense in Star Wars. It doesn't really make sense in Dark Souls, for example. So that's why I'm like really 50-50 regarding like story mode. If it makes sense in a game like Star Wars, like Jedi Survivor or Fallen Order, whatever, yes, makes total sense. But in Dark Souls,
Dark Souls, I still think Dark Souls is like kind of a middle ground, and there's also another matter that comes into play when we're talking story mode is the matter of accessibility.
yeah. So, but my point was always that it's not the story mode that needs to be done. It needs to be the game needs to provide the tools to make that hard the difficulty easier for people that they find it challenging in some other way. I don't think they should
Yeah, like
make the game
I
easier.
could, yeah,
Give the tools to make it easier.
I can see your point. I mean, in the end, I think the bottom line is it's something that is like extremely hard to
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah.
get to the right point. I think that's really the bottom line. The bottom line here. It's good that people are trying at least.
Yeah, I'm actually really like that. A lot of games these days are doing a lot of accessibility options and everything. It's just like some of them are
Yeah,
really amazing. I
Oh, the
love
fucking
that.
UI customization. I loved it. Loved it.
It's not even
Loved that level
yeah.
of shit.
It's not even custom.
which
It's not
by
even
the
hard. It's
way,
just everything.
funny thing is, it in many games it feels like it helps in more than one way because it's both for people with, let's say, hearing or visual. I think that would be the word, disabilities. It helps them, but many of such options even help players without them. Like, one thing that comes to my mind here is Fortnite with the
Oh,
visualizing of
yeah.
sounds.
It's such an amazing thing. People say it's cheese, but how is it different from you listening carefully? It's like it doesn't really impact the game at all, and I love that. And
It
besides,
does.
if you
It also is a bit of an equalizer if someone, let's say, has questionable quality audio.
yeah, that too, yeah, and
Yeah.
also, and people say, oh, they can always see where you're coming from, but like No, but if it because
You
that
you still can very much get confused with it, especially in the vertical plane.
yeah, and also if you really want to be quiet, how's that different from you crouching? You know, the
Yeah,
visualization doesn't tell you that.
actually, yeah, you just reminded me. If you, although that's a problem for people with hearing issues, but if actually, if I remember correctly, because it doesn't display someone being around if you crouch,
No, it doesn't.
but
It's
but
blind.
you can actually hear people crouching if there isn't too much background noise, I think.
Yeah, but
So
it's
so
very
it's
very quiet. Yeah.
yeah, but like it still like gives an extra chance, so it's like not a complete do all. And again, it can get extremely confusing with verticality.
Yeah.
I think Splinter Cell did that the best,
What
flat
did
out.
you do there?
When it would compare like exactly how quiet you are in comparison to the noises that are around you as you're moving around.
Oh
It
yeah,
did
yeah,
that shit very well. That's why, and I think that's one of the reasons why the stealth was hailed very greatly in that game. One other thing that I appreciate that companies do, and this is one thing that Survivor did really well that I appreciated, is in the accessibility options. Not only does it give you the option in order to have subtitles, which I require because I am partially deaf in one ear, so like even watching on a 2.1 TV or playing on a 2.1 TV, it's very, sometimes I don't hear background, people talking and stuff like that. And the only thing that alerts me to them being there is the fact that the subtitles pop up. Another thing on top of that that I appreciate more, which I don't see a lot of games doing, is actually directionally indicating where that talking is coming from. Because in Jedi Survivor, you can have it set so that if a subtitle pops up, there's a little wheel that pops up next to the subtitle with an arrow that tells you exactly what direction that talking is coming from. That should be more of a thing, too.
Yeah, I don't think I played any game where that's a thing.
Fallen Order does it, and I think there's like one or two others that'll do it, but it's very, very rare. And I really wish it would be more prevalent these days.
One other thing I like with subtitle options too, by the way, is and that goes something like even Half-Life 2, well, even hell of a game, but Half-Life 2 had it, for example, and I think the original too, that you actually get the options of what you want to have in the subtitles.
Yeah, actually,
But
yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
you could
thing,
have
yeah.
the character's name, and you could color code it, I think, in some... Yeah.
no, I don't mean that. I mean, like, do you want to only hear dialogues, or do you want to
Oh!
hear, like, for example, the actual like sounds, like the, let's say, enemy X grunting still
Clink!
displaying in
Yeah,
subtitles?
yeah. The Foley audio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fallen Order or Survivor does that as well. Which I don't usually have those things turned on. But yeah, because it like I said, that mechanic, that accessibility option helps me in order to enable in order to find to find characters that are out there. Because otherwise, I wouldn't find them at all. I wouldn't even know they were there, because I just can't hear them. I hail the hell out of the UI customization on it, and I call it customization and not the fact that it's an accessibility thing, because it is under accessibility options. You can recolor code that whole entire AI to your liking. There were elements like parry timing indicators or unblockable attack indicators where, okay, the color that the game had I couldn't really see as well, so I would change it to a different shade to kind of make it pop against backgrounds and being in the dark and stuff.
Yeah, that's always good. Like, that's something if a game gives me an option to, like, I do not have diagnosed any kind of like issues with seeing specific colors, but I know that for particularly like the lighter shades and ones that I forget words now, but essentially, like, let's say for green, specifically green and blue is the issue. That if they're not saturated enough, I sometimes have issues with telling them apart. So I really appreciate if the game gives me a chance to at least slightly tinker with colors. Like, I don't need specifically a preset for any type of color blindness, because it's not that severe, but just, that little bit of tinkering that just gives me the quality of life.
Like Battlefield's kill or their hit markers. Yeah, I love that ability.
And the objective markers and stuff like that, and
Oh
also
yeah.
the crosshair and the like the red dot color.
See, we don't all complain about things. We praise good stuff. Jesus, guys.
Oh shit! Yeah, we did mention. When's the last time we talked about something positive? And like, yeah, this.
Yeah,
actually
we were talking the last episode about that shit. Like, we really want to talk about some positive stuff, and here we are.
I can't remember. Was there a Patreon extra one?
Yeah, I think it was Patreon that we were.
Subscribe to Patreon.
I take full credit.
See, Ray, I figured it out. We need more people on the podcast so we can talk more positive stuff. So we can promote the Patreon that is more positive than. Oh, we figured
What
it
you're
out.
saying is we need the third guest in order to balance out the overload of cynicism that's between the two of us.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Catch me right after I play just the wrong game, just the wrong way, and you're gonna have a very different result.